pharmaceuticals now are really the number one cause of death. And so, we have to look at how do we really, really get people's systems in order and get them in homeostasis. And it was interesting. I had a patient last week and the mother was really, really going to almost die. The doctor's like, your mom's going to die. Well, they took her off her 10 medications. And what happened? She came to life. And that was actually written in British Medical Journal, is if you get an older person coming in through the ER, look at their medication list and take them off most of everything, and the patient will most likely do better.
He's a best-selling author, award-winning filmmaker, inspirational speaker, certified nutrition coach, plant-powered athlete, and host of the #1 holistic health podcast in the world, Nathan Crane.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Before we get started, I want to give you a free gift that I have spent over a decade researching thousands of hours of peer-reviewed studies and interviewing hundreds of world-leading functional medical doctors and cancer conquerors that lays out a blueprint for helping your mind and body become a cancer-fighting fortress for natural cancer prevention and healing. And that's my Amazon #1 best-selling book, Becoming Cancer-Free. The physical copy sells for like $10 on Amazon, which, you can go get that if you want, but I'm happy to give you the ebook absolutely free. Just head over to becomingcancerfree.com and you can download that ebook instantly. Again, that's becomingcancerfree.com, and it's yours as a gift from me to you for tuning into this podcast. All right, let's get to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I have my good friend, Dr. Leigh Erin Connealy, here with us. Dr. Connealy is the founder of the Cancer Center for Healing, the Center for New Medicine, both of which in Irvine, California. She's the author of a couple of great books, Perfectly Healthy, as well as her newer book, The Cancer Revolution. And Dr. Connealy's been treating patients with all kinds of chronic diseases, specializing in cancer as well, for decades now. What, going on like 40 years now? How long have you been doing this?
38 years now.
Almost 40 years. Wow, I bet you've seen some things.
I have seen a lot.
I want to talk to you about what you've seen lately. Like, are you still seeing COVID stuff? Are you still seeing any of that? I just got back from a humanitarian trip in Africa. As you know, we were delivering seeds and tools and helping the tribes who are literally starving to death in northern Kenya, right. Helping them get, food planted into the ground, trying to help them become, sustainable there with food. And man, I wasn't sleeping, traveling. The flights were crazy. There was like 3 days where I literally got to sleep like 7 hours over that 60-hour period or something. It was nuts. Come back, similar thing. Anyway, I got back, started Parasite cleanse, and after about 3 or 4 days, I got hit with this massive sore throat and then body fatigue and pain. And then it's been trying to make its way to my lungs every day, I could tell. I've just been hitting it with everything in my natural protocol and keeping it out of the lungs, but it's still in my head a little bit. You can probably hear it a little bit, but it was throat, kept trying to get my lungs. Thankfully, it mostly stayed out, been up in my head. And then at night, just some coughing and stuff as it's I can feel it trying to take a hold on my lungs. I don't know if this is that lab created crazy, whatever strain of COVID, this or that, or what it is, but today is day 7. It's on its way out. It's still gripping on, trying to hold on, I'm feeling much, much better though. But are you still seeing a lot of that, or what are you seeing nowadays?
Fortunately, we don't see that much COVID. The patients are so trained and educated what to do if they feel like it's a COVID, or they feel like it's there's no such thing as flu anymore.
Right. It disappeared magically, right?
It disappeared, right. So the patients are all very schooled what to do these days. At least our patients are. And so they know exactly what to do and to nip it in the bud. Because we taught them what to do back in March of 2020.
Right.
So
Right.
And
And
then
we did an interview about that with you, like all your protocols. That was probably 2 or 3 years ago now. So
right.
maybe you could touch on those real quick. If someone's feeling something coming on, what do you normally have people do?
Well, first of all, the most important thing that everyone needs to do, no matter what, is to take vitamin C. And today, people need higher doses of vitamin C. We're the only mammals that don't make our own vitamin C. All other mammals do, except humans. And because we're under such extreme stress, not just stress from life, but stress with the EMFs and with toxicity and heavy metals and all the things that we're under attack every day. And so you've got to take a lot of vitamin C. So for me, if you're going to do liposomal, like something like liposomal, so I would do a teaspoon twice a day. If you're going to do something like Vitality C, which is very high dose and it has a ribose sugar to make sure it is absorbed. So that's 4,000 milligrams twice a day. Now there's a natural versions, Camu. You would take that twice a day. So I would tell people that's what you need to do for prevention. Our number one product that I've sold for probably 20 years is vitamin C. That's
Yeah,
a
I
number
know,
one
I
thing.
know, I know the half-life of vitamin C is only like a couple hours, right? So like what I usually do is I'm trying to take about 500 milligrams up to 1,000 milligrams. So like half a gram to a gram of vitamin C about every 2 hours during the day. So I'm actually not getting that 8 grams that you're recommending through the liposomal, probably less than that, but close to it. But that's number one thing for sure. Just start, dosing up on vitamin C. I mean, there's a lot of other benefits to it as well. But
Exactly.
now
It's the answer.
you're saying 4,000 milligrams or 4 grams of liposomal twice a day as preventative? That seems like
No,
a
the
lot.
liposomal is 1,000.
Oh, okay. So 1,000
It's a
milligrams
thousand twice a day.
twice a
Yeah,
day as a preventative is what you're saying.
right. Yeah.
Mm,
Now, if you're young, I will tell people just take it once a day, you
yeah,
know. But if people are fighting things, I put it on it twice a day.
gotcha.
Okay.
It's
And
also
then
great. I mean, it's also there's a lot of studies on vitamin C. I can't say it heals cancer, fights cancer, whatever, but there's
yeah,
a lot of studies on vitamin C and cancer out there, by the way, for those who want to go and look them up.
right, right. We give those to our patients because there's a lot of obviously people saying, "Oh no, that doesn't even work." Well, we know vitamin C since Linus Pauling did all the initial, research and studies, and then there's been so many studies since then. So the second thing we've been using for a very long time is ivermectin. So we've been using ivermectin is a very old drug. It has many, many different properties, but for a virus, it can be very beneficial. So all of our patients know to do that. So we usually use 12 milligrams, one twice a day.
And
Then
you
I
do
have
it, so 12 milligrams, so 12
one
milligrams,
capsule twice a day.
so six milligrams or
No,
12,
12 milligrams,
12,
one pill twice a day.
okay, so it's 24 milligrams for a day. For how long? For how many days?
Oh, well, probably 7 days.
Okay, 7 days. So
They need.
12 milligrams twice a day for maybe 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just
Now,
got
for
coming
our
back.
cancer patients, we use it a lot because it's
Yeah.
one of the repurposed drugs. So they'll be on that indefinitely. So
YouTube disclaimer here, fact checkers. We're not telling anybody to go and do this, okay? Dr. Connealy,
okay.
a medical doctor who's treating her patients, is sharing with us how she is using these treatments for her own patients, all right? So just putting that out there. I'm trying to keep this video from getting censored, as many of our videos do when we talk about these things, but hopefully this one won't.
With the cold and flu season here, it's critically important that we enhance and strengthen our immune systems. Yes? Would you agree? The problem is, though, that there's so much confusion out there when it comes to what actually works for our bodies and for our health. Well, I'll tell you what I use. I use Maison Beljanski's wellness products. Maison Beljanski's products are backed by science to not only help empower the immune system, but can support detoxification and contribute to our overall health. Coming from Europe, the all-natural Beljanski formulas are now available in the United States and are recommended by top doctors everywhere. A lot of the colleagues I work with, functional medicine practitioners that work with patients with all kinds of diseases, are recommending Maison Beljanski's products to their very own patients. As a special sponsor of this podcast, Maison Beljanski has included a very special discount offer for all of my listeners. You can get 15% off your first order using the promo code Nathan, and you'll always enjoy free shipping when you order 4 products or more. You can grab your wellness products today at maisonbeljanski.com. That's MAISONBELJANSKI, maisonbeljanski.com, and use code Nathan for 15% off. Have you heard of PEMF therapy for cancer? Well, this podcast is brought to you by Dr. Pollack, and he wants to share with you the groundbreaking research of pulsed electromagnetic field therapy in the treatment of cancer. Studies show PEMF therapy can help control the cancer process and give safe, non-toxic, and non-invasive symptom management. PEMF therapy may enhance other cancer support and treatments, lower inflammation, and promote tissue healing. Studies show it's possible to improve your general well-being and recuperate from surgery, radiation, and chemo better and more quickly. Embrace a comprehensive approach to cancer treatment with PEMF therapy, a vital tool on your path to prevention, treatment, and recovery. For caring and professional guidance and recommendations from Dr. Pollack, go to drpollack.com/intro to cancer. That's drpawluk.com/intro to cancer.
So,
And then
that's great. Yeah, I just got back from, when I got back from Africa, I also took ivermectin because of just parasite control. And so I did a dose, when it's used as parasites, and it's very well studied for parasites as well. It was it's a 1-day dose though, basically, was the recommendation. I can't remember. I think it was 4 3-milligram pills, 3, 6. I think it was 12 milligrams for 1 day, basically, is what it was.
Well, for parasites, because I've been treating parasites for a very long time. And when I first started learning about parasites, I trained under a doctor who's the only doctor who at the American Academy of Gastroenterology who talks about parasites. Most doctors don't really think about that when they're working up a patient. But what I have found over the last 30 years is that parasites are a definite entity that needs to be evaluated in a patient. And I find that most people have parasites. So when we first started doing testing, I used a stool testing. But let's say a parasite is in the liver or in the pancreas or in the brain, you're not going to pick it up in a stool test. So you must have other testing. So we use the method of electroacupuncture according to Vole, because we know that every bug, everything has an energy signature. So when we do our workup of electroacupuncture according to Vole, we can pick up the parasites. We also do something called the F-scan. The F-scan is a device from Switzerland that you put a monitor on the finger, and we see what energy frequency signatures come up. And then we use photonic light to kill the parasites. But the key thing about parasites and why 1 day isn't really enough is that if you don't get every aspect of the life cycle of a parasite,
right,
you may not eradicate them.
Right.
So usually I have patients start 2 days before the full moon. They go through the full moon, and they do that for 4 months. We also have patients do garlic enemas, because garlic is amazing for many different things, but especially for eradication of parasites.
Yeah, that's what I'm also doing. So I did ivermectin, and then it was only like a day's prescription dose worth. And so on top of that, I'm doing an herbal parasite cleanse. And then I'm also doing chlorine dioxide every day. So
that's awesome. Well, you
Yeah.
could do
You know about chlorine dioxide?
oh gosh, yeah, I've been using chlorine dioxide for like, I don't know, 20 plus, wow, long time.
It's
So,
amazing. It's amazing stuff. What I've been learning about it. It's whew, great. We got to
yeah,
be careful what we say about that as well. But I mean, there's so many testimonials and case studies on it. It's incredible.
right. So I encourage people, Jim Humble was the first guy, who utilized it for water sterilization when he went to Central America.
I saw a
And
video. Jono just shared with me a video that was sent to him from someone who knows him. He just got out of jail. He just got out of. He was in prison or jail or whatever. You know, they locked him up for selling it, and
where is he? I thought he lives in Mexico.
no, he was in prison.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
For what?
for selling for selling chlorine dioxide, for selling it as a supplement, you know, as a treatment.
Oh, oh, wow. Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was in, but he was in, but he's John forwarded me a video of him getting out and someone, and I saw him and it was on a cell phone and it, so looks like he just got out. But yeah, he was sentenced to a 51 month, this is according to ABC News, he was sentenced to a 51 month stint in prison. I think he got out early. Right? They call it potentially toxic miracle cure, touted by Fringe Church. You know, he set up a church to protect him. But I mean, there are thousands of people who've wrote in testimonials about using, right, MMS miracle, the miracle mineral solution is what they called it. Now, what Andreas Kalker uses is slightly different, right? He uses
Correct.
hydrochloric acid instead of citric acid. And, you know, what he's seen with people is especially with cancer and all kinds of things, is incredible. Obviously, we're not recommending people go and use this, but just sharing
Right.
information about it.
Right.
But yeah, they locked him up for selling it because he was, you know, you could talk about it all you want and people can use it on their own. I'm using it on my own right now. You can just buy the sodium chloride and the hydrochloric acid and mix it yourself. Super easy, super simple, you know, some of the lowest toxicity in the world. But you can't sell it like as a treatment or as a supplement. That's how they locked him up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I just tell people to read the book Forbidden Cures by
Yep.
Andrea and let them, they can research it all on their own. Yes.
So you've been using it for 20 years. Wow, that's awesome. So have you seen pretty remarkable things from it?
Well, yeah, because it's one of those substances that can be very helpful as an antimicrobial,
Mm.
also for an oxygenator. So it's a very helpful tool for patients. You know, when you have a very sick patient, we have to have as many magic bullets as possible. And and I always encourage all the patients, no matter what I do and what I tell them, go and research and study anything and everything. Don't just take my word for it. Go and do your own research and study it. You know, you can't change your condition unless you understand your condition. And so, education is very powerful for everyone because today, 100 years ago, all doctors were naturopaths.
Right.
And so, if you look at, before the advent of penicillin, there were doctors all did things in their office naturally with a mortar and pestle and potions and herbs and all kind of things. So we have to integrate the combination of therapies. You know, sometimes we need medicines, right? Just like you used ivermectin. Sometimes there's medications are necessary for patients. If patients came in here with MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staph aureus, I wouldn't use something natural. I'm like, no, we have to use a drug. And then we got to figure out why you have this problem because you shouldn't be having this problem. And but I try to develop what I call a natural allopathic protocol. You know, I work patients up just like I would a regular medical doctor by getting their history. The only difference with me is I go back from the time you were born.
Yeah.
Because a lot happens in your life. And so we need to know everything that happened. For example, I had a patient with sarcoma, 27 years old. And so I'm going back her last 27 years, which isn't that long, but she had had MRSA 10 times. So 10 times she had this life-threatening bacteria. And first of all, someone should have said, why does this young person, I've never had MRSA in my whole life, and I'm a lot older than that. And I don't know, you probably have never had it. But if you're having such a deadly infection, why is this happening? After one time, the doctor should be asking that. And so, anyway, bottom line is when people take antibiotics, what do they grow? Fungus.
Yep.
And fungus and cancer go hand in hand, right? So you're creating this, this terrain for cancer to possibly grow. So that's why everyone needs to understand if they take a medication, what are the ramifications? What are the side effects? What does it do to my body? What nutritional deficiency? What do I have to do to counter manage if I were to take a medication? Because like I said, I do use medications. And so we just have to know and protect our patient every step of the way.
So going back to kind of protocol for people who are feeling something coming on, you're doing vitamin C. If someone's already feeling sick, you might put them on ivermectin.
Right.
What else are you doing for people?
The other thing I like to use that I've used for years is liquid silver. Mm-hmm. So I'll use Argentine silver, or I have another brand of silver. So I usually will have a patient do a tablespoon 3 times a day. Then a lot of times I use NAC, N-acetylcysteine, because it has great properties, especially if you're having lung issues. It's a great mucolytic, so it breaks up the mucus. Plus, it's an amazing support for glutathione production, which we know is beneficial if somebody were to have a COVID type experience. Okay. And so that's, and then vitamin D.
How much NAC are you usually using?
Oh gosh, what is our pill? I don't know. Gosh, I just put them on 1 twice a day. I'm not sure what the dose is, mm-hmm. But I put them on that, and that's part of our liver protection too. So NAC is very, very good to use for, like I said, many different things. So, and then vitamin D, everyone needs to be vitamin D. Get sunshine, get outside, make sure they're getting plenty of sleep, make sure their eating is good. Sugar is counterproductive to your immune system. So the eating part is, I think, just really being mindful and conscious of their eating. And like I said, getting sunshine. Sunshine's a very potent, immunostimulator, plus giving you vital energy. That's why we have the sun. So
what do you think about seawater?
I love seawater. So I use a lot of ketone water. Ketone has been around it came to the US because it was, originated from Dr. Rene Quinton in France. And
how do you spell that? Ketone.
Quinton, Quinton. So Dr. Rene Quinton developed this water. And it's in the vortex. It's in a special vortex, so it has high energy. So your blood is basically seawater, right, with red blood cells. Okay, so that's why you look at your sodium, your potassium, and chloride in patients, because that has to be perfect and ideal. And so this seawater is the same constitution as plasma. So I use it orally. I've injected it, and I've done it intravenous. So like my patients who do not want to get a blood transfusion, this is what I'll do. I'll do 150 cc's intravenously of ketone water. It's amazing substance. It's over 200 years old. If you want to replete your minerals, there is nothing better than ketone vials. Now it's in glass, these beautiful glass vials. They also have it now in little packets. I personally don't like it as much. So I started, I think ketone water came here about 19 years, 18, 19 years ago. And I've been using it ever since in all different ways. So it's a beautiful, beautiful. Now, there's other companies that make like sea minerals, and but I love the ketone. I haven't seen anything work quite as good. And if you look in the ketone studies, how they use it for pregnancy, they use it for respiratory. So I have patients, if they have a respiratory infection, I'll have them get a little nebulizer, put it in the little repository, and put the ketone water in there and have them nebulize them in their lungs. So for any kind of lung infection or COPD emphysema. So it's amazing to replenish and help the tissues be healthy. My patients swear by it. They're like, oh my God, I'm breathing so much better and so much better capacity since I've been using the ketone water. So it's amazing substance.
One of my good friends and integrative cancer doctors, Michael Karlfeldt, owns the Karlfeldt Center in Meridian, Idaho. And I'm really grateful that their team has sponsored this episode. Dr. Karlfeldt is a globally renowned naturopathic doctor in integrative oncology, and his center pioneers cutting-edge alternative therapies to combat cancer. They offer cutting-edge therapies, including high-dose IVs, ozone therapy, curcumin, mistletoe, photodynamic therapy, and many others within their 17,000 square foot advanced medical and wellness treatment facility. With decades of expertise, they offer comprehensive root cause medicine tailored to support your healing journey. You can begin your transformative experience with a complimentary 15-minute discovery call. You can call them at 208-338-8902 or visit their website at thekarlfeldtcenter.com. Again, that's 208-338-8902 or go to the website thekarlfeldtcenter.com. Are you looking for a powerful immune system hack? Well, our sponsor, Better Way Health, produces one of the highest quality beta-glucans on the market. And beta-glucan is a powerful immune system booster, being called the most effective dietary supplement for a healthy immune system by the American Nutraceutical Association. I personally take beta-glucan from Better Way Health to help keep my immune system strong. And I'm grateful they're offering all of my listeners a special discount code when you order today. Head over to nathancrane.com/beta-glucan for your special offer today. Go get a discount. Try it out for yourself. That's nathancrane.com/beta-glucan.
You know, I've always felt better when I go to the beach and I swim in the ocean and I'm, immersing my body in actual seawater, right? Like I just feel amazing. I think everyone could probably have that similar experience where you just, you're getting the ions and you're, in the sunshine and you're getting the seawater and the minerals into your body, soaking in through your skin. But I was reading in Dr. Andreas Kalker's book, Forbidden Health, how people have used seawater, drinking seawater, as basically a medicine for the body for many, many, many years. And I thought that's very interesting because I'll put sea salt in my water and drink it, right? But I haven't really thought of drinking seawater. And he explains that because of it's basically making a form of chlorine dioxide, right? Where it's the movement of the waves mixing with the sodium particles that are literally creating a natural disinfectant, which is why, people can drink it if it's not polluted from a nearby, manufacturing plant dumping pollutions into it or chemicals coming into, an estuary or something from the river going into it, right? We're just talking about natural seawater. People can drink it in not, small amounts of it. You're not gonna drink a lot, right? You'll probably throw up. But diluted in water, and not only not get sick from it, but actually become healthier because of it. I thought that was really fascinating.
Right. Well, think about you're talking about something that the ocean is like. You are the ocean. Your whole body is the ocean. That's how your circulation works. think about it. It has its natural energy force and waves, just like the ocean. Okay. And so then it has the energy of all the plant life, the animal life, the minerals. I mean, it is magical what, seawater. The only thing is now we're polluting it, if you know what I'm saying, with, nanoplastics and things. So, I've never taken, like, I love, living close to the ocean. So but it'd be interesting to check and like take a sampling, of the seawater and say, okay, let's see what's in it, right? So because now they're saying the fish have a lot of nanoplastics in them because of, right, because of we're polluting it. It's not because that's the way it was made, it's that we are polluting it with so much nanoplastics. So
Yeah, that's it's crazy how much plastic that the average human is actually ingesting per year now, from plastic cutting boards, little pieces of nanoplastics in your water bottle. I think I saw, this was a crazy number. They took a regular, I'll have to look it up. They took a regular measurement, a water bottle, right? A plastic water bottle that you buy at the store that's got water in it. And it was something like, I want to say 180,000 pieces of nanoplastics in one bottle. I think that was the amount. I'll look it up right now. It was
right, but yeah, you can't drink out of a plastic water bottle. Okay.
No, you should not be.
You cannot. So I tell everyone to eliminate. I've been telling people for about 30 years to eliminate plastic from their life. Okay. Because
$250,000. Sorry, I want to fact check myself. So it was a quarter million pieces, particles of nanoplastics in a single liter of bottled water.
Yeah, it's so
That's crazy.
sad.
Can you imagine how much plastic that is? Like, how much plastic people are eating per year? I saw this image, like between 11,000 to 193,000 microplastics per year. Largest source is drinking water. So it's getting into the water, just as you're saying, which is insane. We have to filter that out. How do you filter out nanoplastics from your water?
All right, they say boiling it, okay, is the best way, but I think your best bet is a couple of things. One, you've got to do infrared sauna. Infrared sauna is probably the best way to get out plastics. There is a lot of people talk about taking natural progesterone to neutralize the estrogenic effect of plastics. So it is a big, big problem. I'm presently looking for a machine. I found a machine out of Europe, which will filter your blood, the plastic. Now, one of the things we do in our clinic is we do something called EBOO, EBOO, and where we filter the blood and then we ozonate it. That helps a lot because your blood actually goes through a filter. And then we ozonate it, which we know ozone is so helpful with neutralizing toxicity, bugs, incredible for the immune system, incredible for oxygenating the body. So, but I did find a filtering machine for patients in Europe. So now I'm just trying to figure out how to get it here. So because this is you're right, this is a huge, huge problem because they found them in the placenta. They're finding it in babies, they're finding it's in everything. And so like your body cannot work very well. Now, one of the other things that I use supplement wise to enhance xenoestrogen detoxification is calcium deglucarate. So what we do is we do an environmental pollutant panel on every patient, looking at the load of xenoestrogens, phthalates, in every single patient. So we get a quantitative analysis, and then we'll repeat that after we do the purification of patients, which, as we know, takes a while. You don't get purified in a day or a month. I tell people by the time you start with your health, it takes about a year to kind of really get your body in order, especially if you have a diagnosis. Now, if you're healthy, and healthy, what does healthy mean? As far as I'm concerned, it's not just getting your routine testing, because blood tests don't tell you, they just tell you what's going on that minute. They don't tell you what's going on, over months and months and months of bioaccumulation of toxicity. So you have to actually do the studies to figure it out. And I do a lot of bioenergetic testing, so I can figure it out very fast and economically, so patients can, have an action plan and, spend their money on their self-care, because, self-care is the new healthcare. And so, because the doctors today, all they know how to do is sick care. And so all they know how to do is, okay, you have high blood pressure, Nathan, here's your drug, and I'll see you in a month, see how you're doing on your blood pressure. No one says, Nathan, how do you live? How does your sleep? How much water are you drinking? What is your eating? What is your activity? What is your stress? Going over your 24-hour lifestyle, because we know that what you eat and your lifestyle is really going to dictate your disease process or lack thereof. But unfortunately, we're in a sick care system, and there's protocols in conventional medicine that they follow. All right, they just follow, whether you go to the hospital or whether you're a doctor who is going to treat you with a drug or surgery or both. Never how to fix the patient and restore health in the patient. So now I know doctors are changing, because I just got a doctor this year. I would say in the last year and a half, so many conventional doctors have contacted me to say, oh, can you help me with this? And I'll always ask them, so like, what happened to you that you now are interested in integrating? You've been a conventional doctor for 25, 35 years. And then all of a sudden they go, well, COVID and how we treated COVID is what awakened me. And so, or like the guy I just did a little thing on for him, he was a conventional doctor, 200 scientific publications, USC, UCLA, pedigree to the nth degree. And he just wrote a book, The Lies I Taught in Medical School and How the Medical System Will Kill You. So here, because he had 4 chronic diseases, and then he fixed them with lifestyle modification. All right. So in his book, every chapter is the fatty liver lie, the blood pressure lie, the autoimmune lie, all the things that we know. So it is being talked about. And then there's people like you who are trying to, bring journalistic, aspects to the way, a patient should be cared for and how medicine should be delivered. And so we have to all work together to be, educating and empowering people how to live a new life, because, the way I look at it is we're going through a major devolution of humanity. And we got to start with our children, from the day they're born, and, teach them the right ways. I was looking at the obesity rates for young children here in the US is like 43%. And in Japan, it's 4%, because they start their children early on, right? Properly how to eat. And you should see what they have. If you go to Tokyo, for example, which is the largest city in the world, you will see what's available. They sell sweet potatoes on the street. That's your snack. Okay.
Right. The Japanese diet is like primarily unprocessed, unrefined, real whole foods, right?
Correct.
They eat fish and seafood and things like that. Right. And they eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables, a lot of real fresh food, even like most restaurants and fast food restaurants, even unless it's like a McDonald's or something, right? It's like you're getting fresh, real food. That's what most people are eating most of the time. And so, to see a, 1,000% difference in obesity between there and the US, and less cancer rates, less diabetes, less heart disease and everything, right?
And highest longevity.
And they're riding their bikes most places or walking, right? And moving their bodies. Like you don't see a lot of obese people in Japan.
No,
You just don't.
no.
I mean, it's there, and it's the Western diet and lifestyle that is forcing itself upon them, but majority of the people are not following that. I mean, younger people are getting sucked into it more and more, especially as I talk to friends who grew up in Japan, and they've told me like more and more young people are getting kind of sucked into these processed foods and high sugar, fast food restaurants and stuff. Hopefully the culture still remains and the people don't end up like here in the US where, we're just so addicted to these high processed foods, these ultra processed foods, and these high sugar foods. Hopefully the culture remains intact. But, these giant corporations are doing everything they can to disrupt that and shove their toxic cancer-causing foods down people's throats. It's sad, and it's inspiring to see a place like Japan that's still doing so well.
Right. Well, Japan has like such an extreme high standard for everything, and like even medicine, like the products from Japan have rigorous standards and testing. And I was at a conference years ago, and it was a conference for international doctors, and I was talking to the Japanese representatives of that from their country about cancer. And like, it is mandatory that you do natural things for the patient. So like every patient wants natural things, whether it's the hyperthermia, whether it's IV vitamin C, whatever, it's that is the way you go. And so we, can learn a lot because they have the highest longevity, and their health, they're much healthier. And it's interesting because I've been listening to lectures from some of these doctors, and they're really analyzing everything and really saying, we have to change, we can't allow things to disrupt our culture and society, which I find very, very commendable. So, because, we live in this 8 billion world, US is only 5% of the total population, right? And when I get patients from foreign countries and they tell me that all the countries want to be like the US, and I'm like, well, the US is not. We rank 43rd in the world in healthcare, and our babies are sick. So autism is at the all-time high. It's, if you look at different statistics, it's 1 in 30, 1 in 35. I mean, everybody has a different statistic. And then 60% of our elementary kids have one or more chronic illnesses. And then our teenagers have the highest rate of anxiety, depression, and suicide. And then 30-year-olds are here with cancer. So why is it that you and I are the only ones talking about this when it's obvious everywhere? Okay. And yes, there are other people that are colleagues of mine who are trying to bring light to all of this. But it is obvious. Why isn't there a doctor outrage and a public outrage, Nathan, about what is going on with the health of our nation? Because if we don't have our health, you and I both know, we have nothing. I know I've heard many wealthy patients tell me I'd give all my money to have my health back. And so, but it's not just health back. What is health? Health is vitality. It's feeling great every day. It's feeling fantastic, and that you can help yourself and help another person, right? Because
quality of life. I mean, we've gotten to this place today where people are just expected to feel sick, to have low energy, to have chronic fatigue, to be in pain, and it's just like, oh, that's just aging. It's part of life. And no, that's not just aging. That's not part of life. When we're healthy, when we're vital, when we're functioning, yeah, we might have a little thing here or there, a little pain here or there, whatever, but it's not, even though we've normalized sickness as part of our life, at 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds. I mean, it's crazy how many young 20 and 30-year-old athletes I'm meeting who are just, their health is so dysfunctional, right? Their gut health is just so messed up. Their energy is out of whack. right? They're experiencing fatigue, depression at higher rates than ever before. Like, that is not normal, people. It should not be normalized. Even when you're 50 and 60, like you and I know, we know many people 50, 60, 70, 80 who are vital, healthy, very low pain, lots of energy, living their life's purpose, feeling great, exercising, living a good quality of life, even into their 90s. Like, that is what's possible for everybody when we get our diet and lifestyle in alignment, when we're living a good quality of life, we have a good spiritual connection, and we're practicing stress reduction techniques every day, and meditation and qigong and prayer, whatever your spiritual, mental, emotional, health practices are. Eating real whole foods, real natural foods, exercising, using sauna, removing the toxins from our diet and lifestyle. Like, that's the potential for all of us, if we live that long, right? Any one of us could die today and get hit by a bus or whatever. We don't know. But we shouldn't wait for that either, and we shouldn't expect that. We shouldn't, wait and see what's going to happen, because then they see you and they see me and they see us who are, they come and say, oh, I have stage 3, stage 4 cancer. What do I do? And it's like, yeah, there's stuff we can do, but there's no guarantee. And it's way tougher now than if we caught this as stage 1 or prevented it in the first place, which I know how passionate you are about prevention. The problem is, like, so many people, younger people, let's say 30, 40, even 50, are not always thinking about prevention, right? They're just like waiting until something bad happens.
Yeah, well, we're not taught in our society that health is the most important value, Nathan. That's the problem. If you're taught that health and working on your health was critical to your existence, then that's what you would be doing. But everybody wakes up every day thinking, oh, my body's going to work for me, until that nanosecond they get a diagnosis, right? And then all of a sudden, everything comes 2020. Oh my God, what's going on in my life? And I've been diagnosed, like you said, stage 3 or 4 cancer. And then they are in fear, which is very damaging to the system and to the body. And then they make decisions based upon fear instead of saying, oh, okay, why, where, when did this happen? Why did this happen? And so if we just started really creating health, which I'm excited though, Nathan, that I see young people, like they have parties and they have saunas and cold plunges and no alcohol. So it can be done, because
that's cool.
So, and all my young patients now that are 30, 35 years old, all of them are dedicated. That now, a lot of them have cancer, but once they get cancer free, oh my God, they're broadcasting it. You've got to prevent, you've got to, they're all broadcasting it. So,
I mean, we're making good progress, right? Like just 10 years ago, it was such a different, climate and environment, right? I mean, I was doing summits online. We had maybe 30,000 people attending. I did some of the very first summits online about cancer ever before it became popular online.
Right.
I think I did the first or second one ever done in 2012, 2013. And now, we've got them every other month in docuseries, and it's great. We've got 100,000, 120,000 people signing up for these events and learning all these natural ways to prevent and fight off cancer. Like, we're reaching millions of people now. Like, we're definitely, 10, 15 years ago compared to today, it is definitely making a huge impact because of you, your books, your center, your education, your commitment, the work I and my team and all of our colleagues have been doing together. It's like we're seeing a good shift in the right direction. I think you're right. COVID definitely opened a lot of people's eyes to go, maybe what I've been told, by these pharmaceutical companies and by these governing health bodies is not the truth. Maybe I should start going in the opposite direction of what they're telling me to do. You and I and many of us figured that out decades ago, right? It's like,
right.
17 years ago, I was like, not believing anything that these guys are saying right now. Let me see what the natural health world has to offer.
Right, right. Exactly.
But you live it every day as a conventional medical doctor who's really, I would say, a functional medical doctor or holistic conventional medical doctor, where like you have access to conventional medicine, which is great. Sometimes a prescription or a drug or surgery or something can be super helpful and necessary. So you still have access to that and you're still using it, but you're treating your patients for the root causes, parasites, fungus, bacterial infections, viral infections, right? You're treating them with herbs and supplements and diet and lifestyle and sauna and all these cutting edge technologies that you have in your center. Like, that's the future of medicine. Actually, I interviewed you for one of my early documentaries. If you remember, this was probably 7, 8, 9 years ago. And we posted that video on a blog, and, you know, many people saw it, and where you said the future doctor will not only just prescribe, medications. The future doctor will be looking at the root causes and focusing on nutrition and supplements and diet and lifestyle and getting to the root cause of cancer and all diseases. And that's what you've been doing, for so many years. And, I think we'll get there eventually. It's just we come up against so much resistance because we're really, at the end of the day, pharmaceutical companies are getting hurt with their profits. Politicians who make money from the pharmaceutical companies are getting hurt with their profits, and they don't want that to happen. And that's not our intention. Like, we don't care. Like, we don't want you to not make money. It's like, we just want to help people get better. That's it. If it hurts your profits, change your business model.
Right. Well, it's the same thing at the grocery store, Nathan. Right. So if you demand organic produce, that's what the grocery store is going to have, right? If you're going to demand products that are non-toxic, no seed oils, etc., then that's, you buy with your pocketbook, right? And so people today are becoming, because we're so sick, they've got to understand why they're sick. Okay. And it's not just cancer, it's all these chronic diseases, from fibromyalgia, like all the things you mentioned. And like you said, there's not a drug for everything either. For example, is there a drug for fatty liver? No. In fact, most physicians don't even tell the patient that they have fatty liver, and they just tell them, either they tell them nothing, or they may say, change your diet. But what does that mean, right? So there's a lot of medical problems like autism. There's no drug for autism, correct? Right? So we've come to the point of no return for pharmaceuticals. And now, pharmaceuticals now are really the number one cause of death. And so, we have to look at how do we really, really get people's systems in order and get them in homeostasis. And it was interesting. I had a patient last week, and the mother was really, really going to almost die. The doctor's like, you're going to, your mom is going to die. She's in her 80s. Your mom's going to die. Well, they took her off her 10 medications. And what happened? She came to life. And that was actually written in British Medical Journal, is if you get an older person coming in through the ER, look at their medication list and take them off most of everything, and the patient will most likely do better. So what better example, of medications and what they cause. And then doctors don't even really talk about what these medications may or can do. Okay. Like we look at Ozempic. Okay. People are looking for something easy, quick, fast. I tell every patient, I don't have anything easy, quick, fast. This is going to be a major decision in your life to change your life, 365 days. And you got to work at it. You got to work at your health every day. Like, if you don't work out for a week, what happens to your body? Even you, young, you see the difference, right?
Oh yeah. Big time. Big time.
You feel it. You think it. Everything is different if you don't. And I know you work out well. If you don't work out for a week, you feel it. And you're young and vital and already living a good lifestyle. Okay. So this is something we have to work at on a regular basis. I'm not saying you have to go train for triathlons or run marathons, but my new thing, and I just did a little Instagram, that every decision is a healthcare decision, Nathan. Think about it. Every decision you make, right? Because how you live 24/7, what you're thinking, the choices you make, everything is a healthcare decision. Yeah. And so I think now I'm very thankful that more and more people, besides you and me, because we've been doing this a very long time, now everybody slowly is awakening. They're hearing it. They may not know a lot about it, but it is becoming more accepted. And doctors are now seeing the light. The doctors are very dissatisfied. I just saw on Twitter that like doctors are leaving medicine by droves because their day is married to an electronic medical record and they really don't care for patients. They just fill out that medical record, what medicine, refill the medicine, maybe order some blood and see you later, bye. They don't have the time, they don't have the energy, they don't have the wherewithal to properly, take care of the patient, and they're exhausted and depleted from the requirements of what it is required in your day to day. And so, and the bottom line is patients are not getting the proper care that they need. And we have to change it. So it's good.
I want to ask you, I'm going to share this from CDC and PubMed because you said something I haven't seen before, and I want to just make sure we don't get, fact checked here negatively. If you look at CDC, which is not the most trustworthy organization, by the way, but if you look at CDC, it's very funny how they classify the third leading cause of death for Americans. They say accidents, unintentional injuries. Now, guess where those accidents and unintentional injuries come from, right? They actually come from medical errors. Medical errors account for as many as 251,000 deaths annually in the U.S., making medical errors the third leading cause of death. Right. So look how the CDC classifies it. Accidents, unintentional injuries. These are actually called medical errors. These are deaths by doctors prescribing drugs or making medical errors, right? Like if a naturopathic doctor did something, or a holistic doctor, or me, a certified professional nutrition coach and certified holistic cancer coach, did something that actually killed somebody, it was like, I gave them, something, like you'd be in prison. One death and they would lock you up. Doctors are killing 250,000 people a year, and on the CDC calls it accidents. These are unintentional injuries. These are literally medical errors killing people. Number one, and in PubMed there's lots of information people can go read on how our prescription drugs are killing us. These doctors are let's give them I don't want to say that they're trying to kill people. They are accidents. It's just funny how CDC doesn't say medical accidents or medical errors. They just say accidents and unintentional injuries. But you said pharmaceuticals are actually the number one cause of death. I mean, CDC says cancer is the number one cause of death. Where do you get that statistic?
Yeah, I will send it to you when I'm done. I'll text it to you. Because I was surprised when I saw it. I was like, oh, well, because, they always say it's the third leading cause. Heart disease is number one, cancer is number two, and then the errors in pharmaceuticals are number three. So I'll send it to you when I'm done so you can, utilize that for today.
You're saying there's some new information that you found that actually says drugs and medical errors together are actually the first leading cause instead of the third.
Yeah, I'll send you, because I sent it to all my doctors about a month ago, because I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting, So, but the bottom line is, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, Nathan.
It's too many.
It's too many.
Too many.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It could be number 20. It's still too many.
Yeah, we should be cautious and careful as doctors when our job is to give informed consent and understanding of a medication. All right. And so that is not what happens because doctors just don't have the time. And first of all, anybody can look up now today, they can go literally and look up the 1,000 side effects of every drug, right? There's a physician's desk reference, but it's all online, what the potentiality of it is. So I know that when we give a patient a medication, we watch them very carefully. We look for nutrient depletion. We also look and protect their mitochondria because every drug affects the mitochondria, which are the powerhouse engines of your cell, and our all drugs cause one or more nutrient deficiencies. So if you're taking 3 medications, and I use medications, okay, especially when it comes to cancer, I use a lot of repurposed drugs because there's over 300 drugs that help starve cancer. So when I have a patient, I never rely on just one pathway of healing. It's, obviously addressing their lifestyle, their emotion, the repurposed drugs, maybe low dose chemo, maybe hyperthermia, maybe Weber Endo. I use so many different things. Okay. So because, cancer is always trying to outsmart everything you're doing, right? So you can't just rely on the surgery, chemo, and radiation, because each of those have their injurious immunosuppressive aspects. And that's another thing, is doctors don't protect the patient through all that. Like, I give every patient, if you're going to do surgery, here's how you prepare for it before and after. If you do chemo, here's what we do. We know that chemotherapy changes the terrain, increasing the risk of metastasis, because you're changing the tumor microenvironment, increasing metastatic potential, you're increasing angiogenesis, you are increasing, acidity, virulence of organisms and everything. And obviously chemo destroys every single organ. I mean, this is just a known scientific fact. So you got to do things to protect the patient. Okay. Then radiation is also injurious and immunosuppressive. So all these things require a collateral protective universe to endure these, things that patients are enduring every day, right?
Exactly. I know you've got to go see patients here in a few minutes. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask actually a personal thing on my blood tests. So I do encourage people, get functional blood work, get blood tests, every so often. If it's once a year, twice a year, work with a functional medicine doctor like yourself, or, go through, there are great websites in different places you can get, some really detailed blood work done. Just kind of see, I do just kind of see where I'm at, and I do a lot of experiments too, and kind of see the results of those experiments. So I'll do like a 90-day experiment. I did a urine therapy 90-day experiment, did all my blood labs and stuff day 1, did it all after day 90. I've got a video coming out on those results, which is kind of interesting. But one thing I've seen common in my blood work is 2 things. I want to get your feedback on it. One is I have low platelets, and then I have high platelet volume. Like, my platelets are large and my platelet numbers are very low, like out of the range.
What is the number? 100, 125?
Yeah, it's down there like 120, I think. Let me look really quick. So platelets, the recent ones was 123.
Okay, so 150 is like 150 to 450 is the normal range.
Yeah, and then my MPV, so the volume, the size of the platelets was 13.4, so just barely out of the range, but that's still out of range.
Okay.
So they're large, and my platelets are really low. Obviously you can't give me medical advice right now, but does that do you have any clues into what, could that be infection? Could that be?
Well, you have to think about what could be causing that, okay? Because your bone marrow is what's making platelets, right? So you want to fortify your bone marrow. So I would take some bone marrow peptides, drink, you can make your own bone broth, or you can take those bone marrow peptides by Ancestral Nutrition out of New Zealand. The other thing that works amazing is sesame seed pearls from Standard Process. So sesame seed pearls, probably do 2 twice a day, and then repeat your platelets in 3 months. The other thing is eating beets. Either drinking beet juice or eating beets raises your platelets. The other thing is papaya leaf.
Papaya leaves?
Yeah. So that's plenty for you to start out doing. And then you can kind of maybe do an experiment of each one, since you like to do experiments. But, luckily it's not terribly low, but you always understand why. And then, is there something affecting your immune system? So if I didn't make progress, I would tell a patient to get their T lymphocyte panel. we do a special blood test called the T lymphocyte, and it looks at every single thing in your T is, your whole immune army. And actually, it was funny. I was talking to the director of the lab, and I said, well, do you ever see anybody with normal? And he said, no, not really. And I was like, oh, that's not a good thing, right?
See, my lymphocyte, so I had a whole, panel done on that. So white blood cells are pretty good, 4.1. They're kind of on the low end.
That's on the low side. So that should be more like 6, 7, or 8, though. So
yeah, so it's closer like
so
it's a little bit lower. My neutrophils were 1829. Same thing, a little bit lower. Like
what was your lymphocytes? Tell me what your
lymphocyte count was 1439. So quite a bit high, probably quite a bit good in the middle range there, right? 1439. My monocytes were 426, which was kind of in the middle range, like healthy range. Neutrophil percentage was 44, so kind of right in the middle. My eosinophil percentage is 8.7, so that was higher than a little bit out of range.
So that means you have parasites.
Parasites?
Yeah. If your eosinophils are high, that's parasites.
That's why I kind of had the intuition to do a parasite cleanse when I got back from Africa. I was just like, I think it's time to do a parasite cleanse. And so
so do a Cellcore, that company's very good.
Yeah.
So do that, start out with the moderate protocol, right? And then maybe the next month go to the higher one, do it 4 months, do garlic enemas, especially during the full moon, only during the full moon. And let's see. And then the next time I see you, we can energy check you to see if you need some medicines. But maybe that's why you have the low platelets. So
because my lymphocyte percentage was 35, which was in the, for percentage was in the healthy range. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the eosinophils is out of range, 8.7. So that's
so that's parasites for sure.
Interesting. Yeah, but if you talk to conventional, many conventional medical doctors trained today is like, oh, there's no parasites in the U.S., right? This was before I went to Africa, by the way. This last blood work.
Oh, so you had them. So you need to deal with that.
So my platelets.
With the Cellcore, they have like the beginning. I think you can handle the middle and then go to the higher range and do that for 4 months, just because you're not here and I can check you, and then do the garlic enemas. And let's see if the eosinophils.
The rest of my blood work is good. My hormones are good. Like vitamins are good. Like CRP is good. Like most of everything else is good. The only thing that's been out is like a couple of the eosinophils, some of my white blood cells, like you saw, and then the red blood cell stuff, which that's been kind of ongoing. The last blood work since 2022 that I've done, it's been pretty similar. So you're saying work on bone. Building healthy bone marrow.
Yeah, you want good healthy bone marrow. Your big immune system is your T cells, B cells, bone marrow, right? Obviously, spleen, fire patches, limbs, and all that. But your bone marrow, think about it. That is a living tissue.
Yeah.
So,
that's where our stem cells come from, right? It's a huge part of our immune system. Exactly. Cancer killing cells. Awesome. Well, Dr. C, always great to chat with you. I know you got to get to patients. Thanks for jumping on the podcast here.
Yeah, great to see you, Nathan. And you can send me your blood test.
Okay, I will.
I'll send you that article for the pharmaceutical also.
Thank you. And we'll put that link to that article. Actually, and then best place for people to get in touch with you.
Go to Connealy MD. That's my Instagram handle, but also I have a website, Connealy MD, that I talk about everything I'm doing and latest, greatest, everything. I also have a newsletter called Dr. Connealy's Corner, where I'm talking about the latest, greatest, everything. We also have Cancer Conversation every 2 weeks online. Sign up for that. You will learn more than you can imagine.
Awesome. Connealy MD, ConnealyMD.com. Thank you, Dr. C. Appreciate it. Right. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye, sweetheart. Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Nathan Crane Podcast. Please make sure to subscribe and share this on social media. Then head over to nathancrane.com for your free ebook.
So when we're talking about, what are these underlying causes and conditions of these chronic diseases, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, they all have very similar, if not identical causes. And that's the thing, is when we get to the root cause of these diseases, we can not only prevent these diseases from ever happening, but empower our bodies to heal from them.
In every one of our cells, we have tens and hundreds of thousands of chemical reactions that are happening every second that are cycling back and forth. It's like sort of a yin and yang.
And, for me, the soul's purpose is evolution. It doesn't care about comfort. It cares about evolution. And so I think so long as we are following our soul, then we will evolve. And I think what sometimes blocks us from living our purpose, from manifesting that next level of our expression, is we have not evolved.
There is also a time for letting go all the expectations and relax and just breathe and be grateful for what you have achieved.